Hello, everyone. This is Sergeant Gonzalo Duran, once again from Devil Dog USA. I'm the CEO, and I'm asking you for your help. 99% of all our programs and events is free to the community. We do this by having sponsorship that's at a sliding scale, and we ask for small donations from the community. So how can you help us? Well, one, you can go to our website, www.devildogUSAinc.org. Look at the articles, look at the events that we do, look at the pictures, and if you have it in your heart, go on our donation page and help us out. If you want, go to one of our events, see how the community helps us, see how we give ourselves and we support and we bring the community in one place to support the military, the veterans, and the community itself, and drop off a little cash to our donation boxes. And until I see you guys, as always, God bless America.
Hey, what's up, man? It's your girl, Vero G, right now, and tune into our Vero G Spotlight TV radio podcast. Available at Apple Music, iTunes, all the places you could think of, they're all available at those places. So go check it out. We have a lot of great interviews from various artists to mainstream artists and all that said and done. You can definitely check us out. You can find me on my Instagram at officialverog, and check out the website at WhosNextNYCRadio.com. And also, if you want to submit your music or, be a guest on our show, you could go to the email at WhosNextNYC@gmail.com. Also, the website where you could also submit if you'd like to play your music on our show and also be on our show for an interview. So definitely go check it out. Again, for the Real G Spotlight TV radio show also, and support this amazing platform. Thank you so much. Take care.
The following is not sponsored or endorsed by Gonzalo Duran. New Yorkers sure have been through a lot over the past few years, but through crisis comes hope, leadership, and heroes. Today we honor those heroes who were there for us when we needed them the most. One such hero is a decorated veteran who tirelessly fights for his country, city, and community. Sergeant Gonzalo Duran. A Marine's commitment never ends. Let's elect someone who will defend and honor all New Yorkers and put America first. Today begins New York's comeback story. Let's elect someone that will bring true leadership, who has served his country, city, and community for over 20 years. And that person is Gonzalo Duran. Let's elect him to Congress, New York District 15 in 2024. For more information about Gonzalo Duran and his campaign, please visit his website at www.gonzaloduran.nyc. That's www.gonzaloduran.nyc. This ad is brought to you by Friends to Elect Gonzalo Duran for U.S. Congress, and are not sponsored or endorsed by Gonzalo Duran or his committee.
Hello, everyone. This is Vet Talk, and I'm your host, Sergeant Gonzalo Duran. Our executive producer is JM Empire Media and Vero G Productions. Today's episode is sponsored by our friends at MuseArt, and today's honored guest is the TLC driver advocate Raul Rivera. Raul, thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Besides and as an advocate, you also hold a title of founder for.
Well, I'm a TLC driver advocate. I'm the founder of NYC Drivers Unite. It's a small group advocating for the reform of the Taxi Limousine Commission. That's what we're doing right now.
And now we all know what's been going on in New York City the last decade or so. Yellow cabs dwindling down, and the apps are coming out like Uber and Lyft. Do you want to try to expand on some of the work that you're doing?
Well, the work that we're doing is basically we have a petition to reform the Taxi Limousine Commission. And what I say is we have leaders. Our leaders are council members, our elected officials. Those are the leaders. So if they want to lead, they need to sign our petition to reform that agency. The agency is 50 years old. It's never been reformed. We're not asking for the abolishment of the agency, only a reform of it so it could benefit the driver who is a New Yorker.
And these reforms, would it be like how many people gets the license, the money that's given to commission, or?
It's several points. I want to say first too that we have like Galina Rivera, council member, signed it. Jumani Williams, the public advocate, signed it. Eric Adams, the mayor, signed it. But they're not standing by their name, so we're advocating a little rough, and we try to hold them accountable for the petition they signed. They put their name on that petition, and we want them. We want to know that their names mean something. That's what it is. And the agency is it's overregulated. It's overregulated with the drivers. There's too much. In 2016, they wanted to pass some rules where the driver can't ask out the passenger. They titled it the creepy cabbie stuff.
Okay.
It made it to the New York Post and everything. A lot of people came out and advocated against it, and they stopped it. They shelved it. They put it on the shelf. They said no. But
now, some of the reforms specifically, though, what are the changes that would be?
The thing is that the taxi driver, 90% of the drivers are immigrants with a language barrier, and they get treated like workers. We don't work for the city. We have a taxi license, but we don't work for the city. We're small independent business owners, and we don't get treated as such. So there's a lot of heavy regulations. There's insurance. There's diamond stickers, all kinds of stuff. There's a lot of TOC inspectors out there following us around, giving us tickets, and we want the driver. What I really want is the driver to be respected as a professional business owner here in the city.
So that's something I didn't know, and I'm assuming a lot of viewers didn't know. Each TOC driver is his own company.
He's his own business. He's his own business owner. We file a 1099 when we do our taxes. We're small business owners.
And one of the things that comes up with the teachers is that they don't get enough any additional funds for the extra things that they have to do, constant re-education and stuff like that. Now, what you just mentioned for the taxi, you're getting fees on the diamond, which is
There's all kinds of fees depending on what sector you're driving in, but like in the sector I was driving, the platforms, which is Uber and Lyft, that's what I was using. FHV for high volume vehicles, that's 10,000 trips or more per day. You have a special vehicle that has TOC plates. It has diamond stickers. You can see those stickers. Only in New York you'll see that. Those blue stickers.
Okay.
Those are they call them diamond stickers. That's $625. Then you have the emission stickers from the DMV. You or I would just change it once a year, but a TLC driver, an Uber driver, have to change it every 4 months. It's only it's $37, but it's a lot of heavy regulations and stuff.
But that builds up too.
It all adds up. It all adds up. I made 1 year I made 105,000. Another year I made 85,000. 109,000. You make a lot of money, but when you start taking all the expenses out, it's almost like $15 an hour.
Yeah, and then with gas going up and et cetera. So.
And the tolls and the gas and the wear and tear in the vehicles, so it all adds up. The tires, and you have a lot of you write all that off, and the end of it, it's like making $600, $700, $800 a week. It's not doable. It's very hard.
Now, who would you say is the biggest opponent of the TLC?
The biggest opponent in sense of
the reason why, let's say, the numbers are dwindled, because I remember I used to see yellow tags everywhere,
right.
Even green ones. I don't see green ones often that much.
Well, when the greens in 2013, when they wanted to put the greens out, it was to help the outer boroughs. They call them transportation deserts, because the yellows wouldn't pick up there. You know what I mean? Then they had the livery bases. But it didn't take off because people don't, in the outer boroughs, they don't like meters. They're not comfortable with the meter. They like delivery bases because it's a set pay. You go from A to B, $20, $30, whatever it is. But in the outer boroughs, they didn't like. I think it wasn't popular. They tried to put out 18,000 of the greens, and they never did. I think right now it's like around 600, maybe 800. It dwindled way down. When it comes to the yellows, they never pass 15,000, and I think maybe half of them are on the road, not all of them. a lot of the banks, they foreclosed on the medallions and they took them back. I heard Citibank had, I don't know what year, this was a few years ago, Citibank had like 40 medallions. So there's a lot of banks that own those medallions.
Now, once again, I've only dealt with TLC, getting hailing a cab or an accident driver. Oh, I see his card in the front. But taxi, limousine, and
Taxi Limousine Commission.
Now, yellow cabs, green cabs, the limousines. Is there any other?
The black car.
The black car service.
Yeah, the black car. That's basically like Uber. That's FHV.
And now that Uber and Lyft has increased their numbers, what can we do to try to get? I've always been in favor of the TLC and I see that as an average person trying to work and live and stuff like that. How would we go about to try to increase those numbers if those changes and those elected officials don't go for them? Like, it would us using Uber less help the yellow cabs or the TLC more? What else could we do?
What my petition has is we asked for a cap on the license plate, right? Which already happened. That already happened. Now, I had other groups that advocated for that, and it happened. Our petition was created in 2018, and it has that. But it also has a point where we wanna cap the driver's license, the TLC driver license. So you want to cap it on both ends, because right now anybody can just go apply for a TLC license. They follow the steps and they get the license. But it's basically what I tell most of the elected officials. I tell them, when you're a company like Uber and you have an unlimited supply of workers, you don't have to respect them. And that's why there's an issue with deactivation. A lot of the drivers get deactivated. And that also devalues the license. So let's say we have, the numbers fluctuate. So let's say we have 175,000 drivers, licensed drivers, right? I want to protect that in the sense where you have 175, we cap it on the top. Every year, at the end of the year, there's going to be drivers that are going to quit, they're not going to renew, they're going to lose their license, whatever. Let's say 5,000. So we'll replenish them from the bottom, from a waiting list. So there'll be a waiting list with 5,000 drop out, we'll replenish them. Some people think that if we put a cap that you can't become a TLC driver, and you can. You just got to get on a waiting list. And this will bring value back to the license. This would also get the attention of the rideshare companies. They're gonna think twice before they start deactivating drivers. You know what I mean? That's a very important thing. I think that needs to be done. But the taxi limousine and the city, it's a city agency. It's $250 for that license. They're making a killing on just that license alone. They make a lot of money.
Now, I never really thought about like how many on both sides were, or even capping before our conversation, because when it comes to, like, let's say the school educational system, there's a cap on the charter schools, right? Why didn't they put a cap on how many, the separation between Uber and the app services for taxi, and because it looked like they just turned their back on the regular taxi drivers.
Yeah, what happened? There was a lot of money at play. There was a lot of people making money. There's 4 leasing companies. One's called Buggy, Fast Track Mobility, American Lease, and there's one more. Tower. So they were basically, before the cap of the plate, they were pumping out between 1,700 to 2,000 vehicles a month. That's why you were seeing so many vehicles in the streets. But the city council and everybody started complaining, and they decided, and de Blasio really wanted to go after Uber and Lyft, and they put a cap on the license plate, right? And they put a stop to that.
Do you feel that there was any, let's say, dynamic changes when COVID hit for the?
Oh yeah, definitely. There was everybody started. Everybody that was renting, they gave their cars back. Most drivers, I want to say 70% of the drivers, they own their own plate. The plate belongs to them. But like myself, I never had my own plate. What I did was I rented vehicles from the fleet companies, which I agree with renting. It's just sometimes they just get out of hand with the prices. But I rented my vehicle when COVID hit. I kept driving. I drove through COVID.
Would you give us a little more background on your driving experience?
Well, I started in 2016. I used to tell all the drivers, get all the apps. I did Juno, Lyft, Uber. I got over 23,000 trips. I love it. I love driving. I love crossing bridges. I was born and raised in New York. I'm a native New Yorker. I love my city, and I just love crossing bridges, going through tunnels, and listening to my music, picking up passengers, and having conversations and stuff like that. It's really something that I enjoy. I haven't done it in over a year, and I miss it.
That's one of the joys I have is when I'm traveling. Sometimes I jump in a cab, having a conversation one-on-one with somebody. Whether it be in the middle of the night saying, "Hey, are you finishing your night?" or you're starting it, and then finding out the whole story on back and forth. I appreciate the work that you're doing. Is there anything that you want to see happening besides the amendments you're trying to make on those bills? Do you have any work that you're working on?
Well, we have some bills that were drafted for the benefit of the driver. One of the bills is from Ruben Diaz Sr. It's a 2018 bill where you put a panic button in the car. So if the driver is getting robbed at gunpoint or he's being held up, he can secretly, quietly press it. It sends a distress call to the precinct, and it gives a location where the driver's at, and they can arrest the person and probably save the driver.
Yeah, it makes total sense to me.
And probably get a gun off the street, you know. But that bill hasn't passed. The city council is they're passing nonsense bills, and these are important bills. There's a lot of important bills, but they have their own agenda, and their bills come first, And we're upset about that. We're bothered by that. So we're advocating in any which way we can to get our message out. But unfortunately, it looks like we're going to have to head to the courts. That's what it looks like.
And your advocacy is pretty up there. I mean, you have a good following that goes around your work. Would you tell us some of the?
Well, we started before even Facebook and TikTok was popular. We started 5-6 years ago, and we started just little by little doing our videos. What I say is I do my own reporting, my own editing, my own everything, because my own advocating. We go to City Hall and we testify because. It's a lot of people that are not putting out information, or at least what we want to put out, So we make sure that we get certain points put out there.
And that's a key factor on what you want to put out there, because a lot of things that are happening, we're pretty blasé about it. Like, we don't really get the full information on both sides. That's one of the things that we try to bring guests here so that we can get.
Yeah, we appreciate that.
Now, with a situation like that, for how will the audience reach you in their media? Well,
they can find me on social media easily. You go on Google and you type TLC Driver Advocate Raul Rivera, or you can find us at NYC Drivers Unite, and we're on TikTok. You go to Raul Rivera 125, and you'll see us pop up. We're all over. We're on YouTube too.
Is there anything else that you want to start working on that you may not have touched that so far?
We're focusing on the lawsuit, because we want to control the money. If we're a small business owner, we should be able to control the money. He who controls the money controls the business. That's what we say.
And the separation of that you guys have on that, what is it?
Well, separation. Well,
for that money, like where is it you guys losing out on that money?
Drivers get paid per mile per minute. The Taxi Limousine Commission has been granted permission by the City Council to control the minimum. They set that per mile per minute. Uber can charge whatever they want to the customer. We're going to get whatever the customer pays, we're going to get the per mile per minute. So Uber can charge whatever. They also have the surcharging when there's high demands. We want to control that. That's what we want to control. The Taxi Limousine Commission has failed on that part, and that's going to be our main sticking point, because you have other cities like Seattle, Washington, is making roughly the same, if not a few cents more than the New York driver. But in Seattle, you don't have all these regulations. You don't have a TLC. You don't need a TLC license. You can just get your vehicle, download the Uber app, and in a few hours you're driving.
That's interesting. But I mean, let's say the reason why that's there is because of the original TLC that was in place.
The TLC is their job is to regulate the industry, and we need to be licensed, we need to be vetted. You're safest in a taxi in New York City, whether it's a taxi or Uber. I call them all the same. They're all the same because my license, I can drive yellow if I want. I can drive black car. I can drive Uber, Lyft, or whatever. We can drive whatever we want. But you're safest in New York City with a taxi driver because we're drug tested every year. We're fingerprinted. If you're on an Uber app, you're gonna see our pictures. It's almost impossible to get onto the Uber app without the TLC license.
To be honest, once again, that's another thing I didn't know about drug testing and everything like that. I mean, it makes sense. Don't get me wrong, it makes sense.
Yeah.
But I never thought about something like that.
Yeah, we get drug tested every year. Once a year, we get drug tested. And in my petition, I got into trouble with the drivers because they do drug testing, but they do it once a year. It's like it's almost like set once a year. I wanted to do random drug testing to try to get. We can't be hypocrites. We want these bad drivers off the roads too. You know what I mean? Yeah. We want if we expect people to look at us as professionals, then we gotta walk the walk.
And one of the things that we try to get across is trying to end the stigmatism when it comes to mental health.
Yeah.
I know in the past there's been suicides.
Yeah.
Would you like to talk about that?
Yeah, I honestly, I personally believe that I suffered a little bit of PTSD, and I know I was depressed, but I just pulled through. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And what I say about the drivers and anybody that tries to say anything negative about them, like they were crazy or they were stupid, what I say is they fell into a dark place and they couldn't pull themselves out, and that can happen to anybody in any industry, any walk of life. That can happen to anybody. That's all it was. And we fight in their honor too. We fight in their honor. We try to. Hopefully, we won't have any more. We have 12 suicides. A lot of people. We have 12 suicides. A lot of people think it's like 9 or 7 or 8. It's 12.
Mm.
We have that list of the drivers, and when we have our meetings with the elected officials, we give them that list. And on the top of the list, like it says on our banner, like it says on our card, it says poverty is the worst form of violence. We believe that. I truly believe that.
Well, thank you for sharing that part. I know it's a personal thing, so thank you so much.
Yeah.
Now, the New York City Drivers Unite. What's one? Have you guys seen some changes that you guys been doing recently in your advocacy?
Well, our biggest thing is that we had some bills drafted. When you get a council member to draft a bill for you, that's big. There's several steps, but that's one of the big steps. That's like the halfway mark. You want a council member to hear you, agree with you, and then draft the bill. And if the bill is drafted, there's no matching bills or anything, then that bill gets put into the council, and we try to pass it, and it becomes if it gets passed by the city council, it becomes a local law. Because the Tax and Limousine Commission, they pass rules, but the city council passes laws. So we really are big on trying to get our bills passed. If it doesn't happen, it's unfortunate. We talked to Brooks Powers. She's the current chair to the Transportation Committee here in the City Council. We talked to Idanis Rodriguez. He's the former chair to the Transportation Committee. And personally, I think they're not doing their job. So we're gonna double down in 2024 with our advocacy, and they know that I'm a person that needs to be listened to. You know what I mean? We don't have any personal agendas against anybody, but we're fighting hard. We want to be heard. You know what I mean?
You bring in some really great points on, the intricate government dynamics that we have. This is not like a Senate or a bill that we're trying to send up to the president where it has to be ratified and all this stuff. Mm-hmm. Literally, City Council has the authority to do this. We have commissioners for the TLC. We have unions or a large group of individuals from
there's splinter groups. There's the Taxi Workers Alliance. Then you have IDG, the Independent Drivers Guild. There's another group that I was part of. It's called Justice for App Workers. We try to work with all of them, but they don't advocate the way we advocate.
For the life of me, I just don't understand why with all this support, it makes sense to go push these things in, but it's not being done. and you got to think behind what's going on behind these closed doors for these things not to happen.
Well, I could tell you, Chairman Idanis Rodriguez, he was the chair to the Transportation Committee, right? And in 2020, June of 2020, he was running for Congress because he was about to leave the city council. He was going to term out. So he ran for public advocate and he lost. Then he decided to run for Congress, District 15 in the Bronx. And he took money. He took money from those leasing companies that were pumping out all those cars into the streets, and that's pretty. I think that's pretty spineless of a chair of a transportation committee to take that kind of money. He took $18,500 from two of the major leasing companies that were accused of pumping all those cars into the streets. He knows it. He knows it. He knows that's a fact. He knows that's a fact, and that was pretty shameful. We also know that he was having secret meetings with the base owners, because the base owners do have money and they can make donations, and we have reporters that tip us off, and we found out that during this campaign he was meeting with the base owners. We didn't see any money exchanged, but when we tried to get a meeting with him, it was very hard. We got some meetings with him, but I had to pull some teeth to get some meetings, and he signed our petition.
And just so the audience that may not understand, we're talking about like maybe elected, or we are talking about elected officials that are most likely getting these sponsors for their campaign, in which they should be fighting against, but they're probably being lobbied to that direction.
Yeah, so they listen to the follow the money, follow the money. You know, it's unfortunate. It's unfortunate because we got good bills. I mean, they're passing some really silly bills in the council. They just passed a bill last year. The bill was for composting, and everybody was giddy about it. The council member Sandy Nurse was ecstatic. They passed a bill for composting, but here we have a bill where you can put a panic button in a vehicle that could potentially save a driver's life.
Well, I remember a couple of years ago, one of the biggest parties that I've seen was one for the styrofoam or the things that you put in. I'm like, there might be a little bit bigger things going on in our city.
Let me tell you about my council member that was voted out. And her name is Margie Velasquez. She's Puerto Rican. She was voted out. We tried to support her. I voted for her, but she tanked bad. She tanked bad, and the district got her out of there. And now we have a Republican council member. Her name is Christy Marmorato, and we hope that she's going to do the right thing. I was at her office today. I missed her, but we try to connect with her and get the support and do the right thing. Velasquez, I don't know if you go to McDonald's, but if you go to McDonald's, you have to ask for napkins, ketchup. They don't give you any of that stuff now, because she passed a bill called Skip the Stuff. That was the name of the bill, like skip the stuff, meaning if you want ketchup, you have to ask for it. If you want napkins, you have to ask for it. You're not going to, supposing that's going to help the environment, and it's going to, green, everything green. And we're going to be left without food. Keep making everything so green.
Now, to jump back on the taxi, the green vehicles.
The green taxis.
Now, was that meant to be for the environment, or was that just a color?
No,
scheme?
the green is just another sector. There's several sectors: the green sector, the black sector, the yellow sector, the FHV sector. It's just another sector. But the yellows came out in 2013. It was basically to help the outer boroughs, because the yellows are actually supposed to pick up everywhere. You're supposed to see yellows everywhere in all the boroughs. But as a native New Yorker, I'm not ashamed to say, how do I say this? I'm not afraid to say that they discriminated. They just wanted to stay in Manhattan, go to the airport, back and forth. That's it. They wouldn't want to go to the outer boroughs. And then when Uber and Lyft came in, everybody has a smartphone, and that's why it just took off. It just took off. You didn't have to, the drivers were questioning where you're going, and if they didn't like where you was going, they would just say no.
And and it's one reason why the dynamic has changed so much. Now, just for the audience, one more time, if they wanted to reach out to you, how would they go about doing that?
If you want to reach out, I'll even share my phone number. My phone number is 347-573-7818. You can find us on X at NYC Drivers Unite. You can find us on TikTok, Raul Rivera 125.
And for the audience that would like to be on Vet Talk, feel free to reach out to us at CEO@DevilDogUSAInc.org. And as always, God bless America.